That night, the last thing was racing really bad, wasn't it? That night. But how did you overcome that?
It was good in the rain.
Yeah.
The older rear end proportion was best now in a minute and a half.
So Billy, what could you tell us about the Ford GT?
What would you like to know? It's a pretty awesome car.
Let's start off with what makes it different from the previous Ford GT.
The new 2017 Ford GT is completely different from the previous Ford GT that was made in 2005, which was really kind of like a historic throwback to the original GT40. So it's very much a retro style car that's obviously much more modern.
Yeah,
that car was a lot of fun to drive. It had a supercharged V8, all aluminum chassis, and very much a raw car. The new Ford GT, this one, is a lot more in line with the original GT40 in terms of, from its inception, its goal was to win at Le Mans to beat Ferrari, and like the GT40, this new Ford GT did that. And rather than being a throwback to the GT40, this was designed to win Le Mans. It was designed to, that was its sole purpose, was to win that race. So everything in this aerodynamically and design-wise was with racing the #1 goal, rather than taking a sports car that, like the 2005, that was a throwback, or any kind of supercar, and then turn it into a race car. This car from the get-go was designed to win Le Mans. And unlike pretty much every other road car out there, the Ford GT was built as a race car and a road car simultaneously. So when the design was being finalized on what would be good for a race car, they also had to keep in mind what would pass all the crash test standards to globally, not just in some countries. Like, there's a lot of very low production supercars that can't be had over in the States, or can't be driven on the roads in certain countries like China, because of the crash standards. And this Ford GT meets all those standards, and everything else was designed to go racing. So this is the closest car from the road cars, as close to the race car than any other road car to race car platform out there. So if you look at Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, you name it, their race cars are substantially different from their road cars, where the Ford GT, the tub of the road car, is identical to the race car. Heck, the cage, the rollover protection in the road car is through the A pillar, around the roof, and over to the B pillar. Inside there is an FIA approved roll cage. So it is identical to the race car, and no other road car has that. So obviously it's a little bit tight in here, not as bad as like a Lotus Elise, but the whole goal was to get the greenhouse much smaller, to reduce drag and improve aerodynamics and top speed, which is crucial at Le Mans.
Okay. And I see there's a lot of cool functions on your steering wheel and on the dashes.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff on the steering wheel. On the race car, we have all of our traction control buttons and mixtures and boost levels. Here we have different drive modes, so sport, normal, wet, VMAX, and track. And then you have your windshield wiper here on this knob, which I think is one of the coolest things. Rather than flipping up and down windshield wipers, you could just flip that knob. It's very intuitive and nice. Same thing with the turn signals. I've always liked turn signals on steering wheels. And then you have your volume, page select, and then go through the different menus over in this section. And then you have windshield washers and high beams. So all the stuff that's normally on the columns is right here on your steering wheel. Cool. And then the whole steering wheel moves up and down, forward and back, and If it's to the driver, same thing with the pedals. The pedals slide forward and back because the seats are fixed. And the seats are fixed is because they want the hip and your head to be isolated.
Okay.
So if you keep the driver's body in one spot and then just accommodate for the different heights with the steering wheel and the pedals, you can bring all this in. If you start sliding the seat forward and back, you need a bigger greenhouse to compensate for that.
Oh, that's cool. And the toggles down here?
So here's the different park, drive, and neutral modes, hazards. You have traction control that I think there's 4 or 5 different modes, as well as shock settings, and also to raise and lower the front of the car.
Wow.
And all the suspension's on hydraulics, so it raises and lowers very quickly.
How did you find the win at LeMans?
The win at Le Mans was huge. Like, that was the whole purpose of this car, was to win that race.
Yeah.
And it was a very short period of time from the idea of the Mustang being canceled as the car that Ford's going to go back to Le Mans with, to, hey, let's build the Ford GT.
Yeah.
So in a very short period of time, it went from let's do a Ford GT to actually making the car and making the race car. And to create the team, create the cars from scratch was a huge hurdle, and to be able to actually get the car to the track, let alone win it, was a monumental task, and it definitely made the entire effort worth it.
That's really good. Well, thank you very much, Billy.
Yeah, no problem.